Hello, everyone. Good morning or good evening, depending upon where you are. Hope you're all doing good. We are sorry for the bit delay in starting this episode. There was a technical glitch from our side, and apologies for that. Welcome you all to the seventh and special episode of WIP FM 113.0 on account of the IEEE PES Day Celebrations 2022, organized by IEEE Power and Energy Society Young Professionals Women in Power. WIP FM 113.0 is a monthly talk show intended to give you the opportunities, the required skills, inspiration, and motivation, technical and other areas where you can get yourself in the field of power and energy. Today, we have a very prominent face from the energy sector joining us. With over 30 years of experience in the renewable energy field, he is currently working as the Joint Chief Technical Manager, heading the technical consultancy in solar PV projects and wind energy at ANERT, Department of Power, Government of Kerala. He has conceptualized and implemented ANERT's first remote solar village electrification project, which brought light to thousands of remote tribal families in Kerala. He is also the chair of IEEE Power and Energy Society Kerala chapter. We are very happy to have you with us, Mr. Ajith Gopi. Welcome, sir, to this talk show.
Thank you, Preeti. It's my pleasure to be here in your talk show organized as part of the PES Day Celebrations. It's a great privilege for me to be here. Okay, everything apart, how are you?
I'm good, sir. How are you?
I'm doing good. I just exactly 1 hour back, I was in the office because
Okay.
today is we are walking. Yeah.
Oh, okay. It's working on Saturday. I mean, it's quite hard when you have working days on, I mean, working even on Saturdays. So that's supposed to be weekend and off time for us. But
Yeah, it's actually difficult. Where we had I think for the last 1 year because the COVID situation, the Saturday Sunday is were holidays actually.
okay.
So
So
now
they're
it
just
is
compensating.
rescheduled. Yeah. Now it is rescheduled.
Okay, good. So yes, sir, you're a very familiar face in the industry as well as IEEE, to be particular. But for our young listeners and viewers, could you give a brief introduction about yourself, touching upon your educational and cultural background?
Yes, definitely, Preeti. I would like to tell about myself actually. Uh, I'm Ajith Gopi. Actually, I've been in the renewable energy industry for the last more than 30 years, I should say. I did my graduation BTech in electrical engineering from College of Engineering, Trivandrum, CET. My hometown is Vakala only. Vakala, north of Trivandrum, maybe 50 kilometers north. It's near to Sivagiri. You might have heard of Varkala Beach, the famous beach.
Yes, that's a very famous beach.
Yeah, a very famous beach. So I was coming from a government school, so got admitted in CET, did my BTech in electrical engineering, and later I did my MTech in control systems from CET itself.
Okay.
Regarding academics, I did on MBA specialization in marketing management from IGNU, Indira Gandhi National Open University. And currently, I'm pursuing my research, my PhD research on renewable energy, especially on solar energy, on the performance modeling at a public university in Malaysia. And I already submitted my thesis. So waiting for the
That's
final,
interesting.
final defense. So still studying. I'm actually very passionate to learn things. So uh, I think it makes us like updated.
True,
Um,
true.
I started my career actually. That was about my qualifications. I added on diploma also, an international diploma in wind energy from Sweden. It is actually Life Academy Karlstad offered that diploma. That was an 1.5 year program. We had on-site programs in China, Sweden, India. So finally we have been offered with a wind power development diploma. I started actually my career in ANERT itself. So my career started in renewable energy itself. So
That's wonderful.
yeah, it was in 1990. I started my career in ANERT.
Okay. I was not even born at that
Yeah,
time.
exactly. So, so I think a long career. Sometimes we have been walking. In the beginning, we have
Hmm.
been walking in the renewable energy sector, and sometimes we have been running, and of course we are running now because of the pace
Superb.
it's going. Yeah, it's growing like anything. So my career started at Wayanad district only. Wayanad is for the global audience and my young IEEE PES professionals. I should say that it's a northern district in Kerala, a beautiful district in Kerala, where we had an office. ANERT had an office in a village area in Mananthavadi. It was actually started as part of the 20-year program of Government of India, the Integrated Rural Energy Program, so IREP. So, in fact, ANERT was implementing IREP in Kerala. It was a project for meant for the whole India, and in Kerala, ANERT was responsible for implementing it. We joined as implementation officers of renewable energy projects and IRP program.
Hmm.
That was in Wayanad actually. Later, after a long period of integrated renewable energy program projects and dissemination of renewable energy projects, I shifted to my workplace to headquarters in Trivandrum, as you know, now known as Thiruvananthapuram, the capital of Kerala, and our our headquarters in now in it was always in Trivandrum only.
Okay.
So we have our own building now. It was, I
Hmm.
think, 7, 8 years back. We constructed our own building, and now we are in our own building. That's about my a short career introduction. I would like to detail a lot based on Preeti's questions. Yeah.
I can imagine, sir. Like you have had a quite a huge experience with, as you said, over 30 years. So even this 1 hour talk show will not be sufficient to cover all of those things. I do understand that. And when I was going through your profile, it sounded really interesting for me. And you also said that you started off with ANERT and then you moved to Suntex and then Parsons, Brink and Hoff. And in between, you got associated with ANERT again, and now you're back again. So, right now, being part of ANERT, what are your main focus areas? If you can brief it.
Okay. Okay. I'd be very happy to explain on my current activities. Actually, currently heading the consultancy program of ANERT, especially solar photovoltaic consultancy program. So we have several projects implemented, part of the consultancy program. Um, there is a consultancy division here as part of ANERT. ANERT is working or positioning as a consultant. Actually, it's a rare opportunity. Generally, the state nodal ANERT is actually a state nodal agency. I would like to introduce ANERT about ANERT. ANERT is the state nodal agency under the Ministry of New and Renewable Energy, Government of India, and ANERT is a completely a state government organization. Um, it's not a central government organization. It's a state government organization under the Department of Power. So earlier we were part of the DNES, Department of Non-Conventional Energy Sources. We used to tell about renewable energy in that way. I think Preeti may not be knowing it. So it was non-conventional energy sources. Yeah, that I think you know that. So later DNES became MNES, Ministry of Non-Conventional Energy Sources. So for a long period, it was MNES, Ministry of Non-Conventional Energy Sources. And later, in the beginning of 2000, the ministry changed its name to Ministry of New and Renewable Energy, MNRE. And
That's the
according to
common one now.
recent, yeah, yeah, yeah. Recently, ANERT also changed into, we added the word renewable energy into it.
Okay.
Currently, regarding my job role, my role, heading the consultancy projects and the wind energy program here for the state. Under consultancy, actually, I've been trained and practiced more into solar energy. Uh, I would say that the very important project, or one of the milestone projects I did, was solar village electrification program, remote
Hmm.
village electrification program. That was in 2000, 2004. It was actually part of the remote village electrification program, RVEP, of Government of India. And actually, we selected around 300 tribal colonies, 300 remote tribal colonies, and wired up these colonies with the solar energy. That was a wonderful experience. We had a group of young engineers joined as apprentice trainees. They were working under me as a team, and we deployed all of them into these tribal colonies. They are actually trekking into tribal colonies in
Okay.
Wayanad district, in Malappuram district, in Idukki district. So our strategy was something like, we were selecting the clustered houses uh, for implementing solar microgrids. We implemented around 12 solar microgrids in 2004 period.
Okay.
And the houses which are uh, kind of not clustered, scattered, those were selected for individual solar homes. So, because we couldn't go for a central microgrid there, a remote microgrid there. So around 12 microgrids we built with solar energy, which are kind of maybe, for example, Champakad tribal colony in Idukki district, where around more than 50 houses were there at that time. So these 50 houses are kind of clustered in nature. We will find an open place where we will put up the panels, and an area where we will put up the batteries, and the control room inverters will be there, and distributing the power there itself. It was a fascinating experience, I should say. Like the inverters, the off-grid inverters itself were actually developing. The efficiency was less than 80% at that time. Now you will get inverters more than 95% efficient inverters from the off-grid sector. So that was a wonderful experience for me in the solar energy sector, and it was actually for the in the off-grid sector. So learning from that, actually, we switched to the on-grid solar power plants. So on-grid solar power plants, we started with the two different campaigns. Actually, we had a grid-connected solar power plant, a 25 kilowatt grid-connected solar power plant at the top of the rooftop of Vaidyuti Bhavan.
Okay.
That was back in 2000. Then the on-grid campaign also started. With learning with all this kind of things, we started the consultancy program.
Okay.
I would like to give examples of some mid rooftop projects we have done. We have done a 200 kilowatt project for Thrissur Corporation as part of the consultancy program. We have a consultancy charges we are getting from the organizations. That was a 200 kilowatt plant at the Jai Hind Market Building for the Thrissur Corporation. That was a utility utilizing our resource as a consultant. Actually, Thrissur Corporation is one of the what you call licensee. They are licensed to generate power. So Thrissur
Okay.
Corporation is the only corporation in Kerala having is a licensee to generate power. So we did that project for Thrissur Corporation. And the
I'm very
latest,
happy to hear
one
that,
of the
sir.
project is one of the project is actually for the Technopark Trivandrum, which is also a 200 kilowatt project. Yeah,
Okay.
that is something about the consultancy.
Great. I mean, a lot of works involved, and I can really understand from the way you're explaining it. And quite happy to know that you're part of this Thrissur Corporation as well, because my hometown is in Thrissur. So
Okay,
kind of
okay.
a pond connected. Yeah.
Nice to know that. Nice to know that. That's actually that was a wonderful experiment. I think yeah, 200 kilowatt peak total solar capacity, and we have Austrian inverters actually. All for all the kind this kind of international or consultancy projects, I was so um particular that I will I will go for the quality. So I was selecting the inverters based on the international certifications strictly. So we will be looking at the basic qualifications of IEC 62116, the anti-yielding certification, IEC 617, IEC 717, the inverter working parallelly with the grid, and all other certifications like 61 IEC 61000, all electromagnetic interference certifications, IEC 61209, the safety of power converters. So, sort of all certifications we insisted whenever we go for tender. So that's why we got inverters, international inverters actually. In Thrissur Corporation, we have an Austrian inverter working fantastically actually for the last several years.
Okay, that's great to know. Great. So, so having got associated with the multiple organizations that you mentioned, you would have had many challenges, or was it a comfort zone for you?
It's a very good question, Preeti. Actually, I would like to talk more on that. Actually, see, in between I jumped from ANERT on leave in different organizations. The first time was I jumped to Sun Technics. Sun Technics is a German integrator company. It is under the Conergy Group of Germany,
Okay.
based out of Hamburg. So when Sun Technics started its integrated business, solar PV integrated business in India, we, I think I was invited by Stefan Muller. He was the Asia Pacific. He is still in the business now. Stefan Muller is actually a German. He was actually looking after the Asia Pacific sector at that time. So we were four only when we started the business in Sun Technics. We were sitting a small apartment near old Bangalore airport, developing Sun Technics. Actually, we were building different sectors of engineering, marketing, operations, uh, inventory. So it's a kind of lot of learning, I should say, building all sectors of business, right from the engineering to the marketing divisions. So later we moved to Indira Nagar in Bangalore with a full-fledged office, uh, and we had several projects. Actually, we did more than 100 projects for Mumbai High off-grid projects,
Okay.
powering the remote oil platforms. We did 25 numbers of off-grid solar microgrids in Chhattisgarh, in Bastar district, in the remote Naxal affected area. And we had a wonderful solar wind hybrid project at Leh Ladakh, a 50 kilowatt project. So
Wow.
very fortunate to be with those kind of projects, and a lot of international projects in association with Sun Technics. If I'm coming to your question, you were asking about. It was so exciting or fascinating to work with international organizations. I think you will be. I know you are also enjoying your career in Vestas, because I had a chance to work with Vestas as well. Because that also I would like to say a few
Oh,
words.
okay.
Yeah, because I was later, no, after Sun Techniques, I again switched back to ANERT and took charge of wind energy at that time. Um, then in 2011, I again sort of, I should say, kind of seeking what you call challenges. So I shifted to Bangalore again, heading the Asia Pacific Consultancy Division for Parts and Spinker of PB. So it is actually kind of more technical experience. So my first assignment was by 100 megawatt or 90 exactly 98.3 megawatt wind farm with Vestas V100 turbines. So that was in Kutch. That was in Kutch. I was the PM for that project. The very next month I joined the PB. I was appointed from my corporate office Australia as the PM for the project. I was so happy, kind of thrilled to take up that challenge. So initially I stayed even at for 3 months in Kutch for that project near Gandhidham. The project was taken up by Vestas only. So that was a Vestas project. So on behalf of the developer, Vestas PM was there, and I on behalf of the consultant, I was there, and on behalf of the client, the Malaysian company, the people were there. Actually, exciting project, I should say that each we were experiencing the individual installation of each V100 turbines there, up to the 51 turbines. So,
Okay.
yeah, that was actually yeah. I couldn't forget it.
Rarely people get such an experience.
Yeah. Actually, we did the resource assessment there itself for that project itself.
Okay. Yeah.
WRA we only did. Actually, we were doing a lot of WRA projects for clients like a lot of clients actually, Renew Power, Orange Renewables, and what do you call uh, on Bangalore based. I'm not remembering the names. Actually, I could meet a lot of professionals when we meet in the renewable energy sector. I could meet all this kind of professionals. Still, they are continuing with various renewable energy firms.
Good. All familiar names I can relate.
Yeah,
Renew
yeah,
or
yeah, 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 yeah. I could, yeah. It's actually, see, due diligence is as a consultant. Consultant experience is completely different from a EPC experience.
true.
So, as consultants, we should learn a lot. Like our challenging, our talks will be challenging. It can be something like to do a complete analysis of the uh, light induced degradation happening for a solar power plant. And
Okay.
it can be what exactly the client will be asking of the PID effect of a solar power plant. So it can be something a complete engineering for a plant. The deliverables will be drawings. Around 25 drawings will be there for civil. More than 25 drawings will be for the electrical. So kind of deliverables. All it is deliverables we have to provide to the client. So a lot of engineering comes, and of course the owner's engineer job, lender's engineer job, due diligence jobs. So due diligence was very attractive. I should say that I was traveling all over India. I was doing due diligence in Tamil Nadu, in the in Tengashi, in Kayathar, in Coimbatore, in say so all this sort of wind farms. I had the experience of doing due diligence because of whenever a company is buying these assets, so they will be doing this kind of due diligence using a consultant. So that will give you a lot of research opportunity. Now you have to research, you have to see the assets, you have to individually look at the wind turbine, even you have to climb to the nasal and do kind of what do you call how it performs when compared to the its designated design power. So it's a lot of challenging job. It's really engineering. Consultant job is really engineering.
Okay. That's nice. I mean, usually people have the tendency of not taking up challenges, but I can see that you are a person who loves to take more challenging projects and also challenging works. That keeps you, I should say, updated, as well as since you said you love learning, and when you get more challenges, I could see that you are learning a lot from these challenges as well.
Really, it's correct, Preeti. See, when I after PB, my Parsons finger off experiment, I should say it's an experiment.
Okay.
I was in exile, kind of traveling Gujarat,
Hmm.
Rajasthan. So a lot of wind farms are there in Jaisalmer
Yes.
desert. So I did a lot of due diligence and WRA for Jaisalmer projects. Uh,
Okay.
so kind of traveling. No, I also I'm interested in traveling. So a lot of traveling is also involved. When I came back, immediate challenge was uh, I was given the responsibility of implementing a utility scale project for ANERT.
Hmm.
ANERT never had a utility scale project, a solar farm project. So
Okay.
I was assigned with a 2 megawatt project at Palakkad. So in Palakkad actually at Kudalmandam.
Hmm.
So we never had an idea actually what to do with that. There was a money allocated to a consultant to do some DPR. I took the challenge of doing the DPR myself, and we used that money for some other projects actually. So because I was coming from a field where I did more than 20 numbers of DPRs in the
Hmm.
consultancy side, in the private side. So why can't I do this for my organization and for the state? So I would say that the 2 megawatt Kuralmandam DPR was uh, the what you call with the toppest technical quality I ever did.
Hmm.
Added all the components. I did a red screen simulation. I did all the PVC possibilities there. I used all the possibilities from red screen to do the risk analysis, financial analysis, the what you call the environment analysis, kind of how it mitigates the carbon content. So that was a wonderful DPR, and I was assigned with the implementing the project also. We we implement the project in record time, and I'm very happy that we are earning a revenue uh, in terms of that project monthly. So
You
sort
can
of
be proud of that.
yeah, I'm very proud of that because this is the revenue we are earning in terms of that project, in terms of the energy charges feeding to the KCB grid.
Hmm.
So it's already completed 5 years of successful operation. I never faced any technical issues there. Two Hitachi made 1 megawatt inverters are working, and around 773 Renesola modules are tirelessly generating power without making any issues. We never faced any issues. Kind of I'm still managing the project. Still, I find that I'm doing a lot of research on this, how it manages,
Hmm.
how it works,
Hmm.
how it performs in kind of tropical conditions.
Hmm.
It will be interesting for the researchers actually how a utility scale power plant behaves in a tropical climate. Because we will be often asked by engineers and consultants, uh, how does rain affect uh,
Hmm.
solar power plants? So, in fact, my research is also a lot connected to it. Um,
Okay.
I'm doing actually my research into that area, the performance modeling of utility scale power plants.
Okay, that's wonderful. And I can relate these questions to wind as well. So we usually get the questions like, how does the turbine performs during a lightning time, or the earthquakes, or even during the cyclones? This has been like a very common scenario these days, and especially if you take certain countries like Japan or Philippines, where the entire country is more or less prone to cyclones. And how do you certify that your turbines would perform for the entire design lifetime? So I can relate that question very well. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Actually, because nowadays resilient systems are
Mm.
needed.
Yeah.
See, because your power generators should be resilient to floods, to earthquake. So we have to design in such a fashion that it should address the climate
Mm.
uh, change challenges. So
Yeah.
this is equivalent to it, this is very important when you go for a floating solar power plant,
Mm.
because it directly affects whenever water comes. When the level of water increases,
Mm.
so it has to have the capacity to withstand the pressure of water. The mooring capacity, the anchor should have that kind of capability. A lot of challenges. And in fact, when we were doing the projects in Kutch, our challenge, it was actually unprecedented rain during the project installation time,
Mm.
and unprecedented kind of wind was also there. So
Oh.
the wind was actually always above 12 meter per power, 12 meter per second, when we were erecting. So we were waiting to have a wind comfortable for erection. So so the common time, whenever we go for this checking this wind velocity and all, we face a lot of difficulty, because as project managers,
Mm.
as consultant managers, we have some time limits. No, all projects will have
Mm.
some time limits. So we had a delay in implementing the projects because of this kind of phenomena. Rain
Mm.
actually, the client actually was asking questions about the rain, because Gujarat that never reported that kind of rain. So in fact, we
New
were
challenge.
actually it's so challenging. We have to take the meteorological data to substantiate that, because the client didn't believe it initially.
Okay.
So much rain in Kutch. Are you guys lying? So it's kind of
Mm.
searching. See, the challenge we face when you go for the excavation
Mm.
and putting up the platform, and when you do the PCC RCC, it's so challenging that you have to ensure that there is no rain. And
True.
during the PCC, we experienced several times, like kind of I should say one platform, because that from that we learned the lesson. One platform, we experienced this kind of heavy rains. So our engineers were working tirelessly to complete it as one stretch. It's
Mm.
very important, no? That's like she made some arrangement to do that on stretch PCC.
Mm.
So because that's very important for a structural stability whenever we go
Mm.
for a wind turbine.
That's
So
true. And it can impact the cost as well, cost of
yeah,
the project.
yeah. And another thing, we had an experience with one that was V100 was 1.8 megawatt. So it's actually a plain area. There was actually logistic side very less challenges was there, but still
Mm.
there was some kind of um, some small friction kind of things happened when it was crossing an area where a bunch of tree branches disturbed it.
Mm. Okay.
So we had to arrange the Danish engineers to fly from Denmark to address it, because see how the cost goes. So that
Mm.
was an experience. No, we were very careful when going for the another next 40 numbers of turbines and transportation of blades. So
Mm.
even a small scratch can do a lot of issue with the kind of your aerodynamic
Mm.
uh,
True.
issues. I know that it's very important when you go for wind energy as well.
Exactly. Yes. As you have been in this sector for quite a long time. So, how do you see the advancement of this sector in terms of job opportunities, especially for women, if you consider it?
It's a very good question, Preeti. As part of uh, as a chair of IEEE PS Kerala chapter, we in just before telling about that, I'm inviting Preeti for a talk here on behalf of Women in Power. So it's an online invitation. So we would like to have you on board for enlightening our young engineers and minds based on your vast experience. Because the initial period you learn a lot. So actually, a lot of role is there for women in renewable energy. I remember a lot of women engineers who are into designs. So we were doing consultancy for Wipro Eco Energy at that time. Uh, I do know a lot of young engineers. Now they are heading different international organizations on top side as VP engineering and all.
Okay.
So I'm not referring directly. So a lot of women engineers are still are working in renewable energy field. But still, I find that we need more. We need more. The jobs whenever we sort of thinking of women jobs, we have to define the jobs also. So the basic jobs coming in the renewable energy field, both in wind energy and solar energy, the project side, and on the design side also. Um, uh, the, Basically, the comfortable jobs for women will be on the design side. People will be sitting at the site, at the office. But of course, they have to go to the site as well because to see the reality. So design side job, a lot of women engineers are coming up. A lot of possibilities also there, and consultants also coming. I have seen a lot of consultants in the industry. We have a group named the Solar Specialists. Um, Solar Specialist is a group started, I think, 10 years back. A few engineers were there, specialists were there. We have a big group now in the country. We are organizing. Only technical talk is going on in that specialist group. I can
Okay.
see a lot of women engineers empowering and what you call teaching us on or discussing on various technical issues. So whenever we have an issue with the solar module, maybe issues, the challenges when we go for inspecting solar modules at the site, like bubbles or decoloring or uh, uh, micro cracks, sort of things. So we will have a lot of questions coming out. So when we express these doubts in these kind of platforms, a lot of women engineers are coming up and with immediate answers. I would say that the fastest answers coming from women engineers, as I know.
Okay.
Academically, you guys are brilliant. So why can't we utilize your brilliance into the consulting sector? That's what I feel, because consulting is a field where you guys should come and excel. Because uh, in fact, I do remember two engineers, Maithili and Gayatri. Both of them were in my team. Maithili was a senior engineering professional from KPCL, Karnataka Power Corporation. Gayatri was from the SCADA background. So both of them were working under Parsons Pinkerov. I used both of their capabilities for both my solar projects and wind projects. We had a solar project there in Kutch, along with this wind farm project. That was a 25 megawatt project at Charanka, the first solar park in the country. So I had a chance to work with the first solar park in the country. That was in Charanka. Charanka village is near to Fuji in Gujarat. So we took all these engineers. We took the services of all these women engineers. They were kind of visiting along with me to the site to do the kind of siting arrangements, investigations, helping me in WRA, helping in the solar side, assisting me in the kind of structural side. So tremendous opportunities are there in different roles in consultant, as a designer. I do suggest to work as site engineers also,
I think
because
that is one area where we lack women going more into that. So whenever the question comes like, "Oh, you want to work on site, remote location," there is no access as such. So it again comes to the safety of women, and parents are always concerned. And especially if it is in Kerala or at least in India, this will be the first question that comes to their mind, like, who will take care of your safety? So
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I have seen lot, lot of
That,
people.
that that's a natural question actually, and things are changing. Actually, I would say that things are changing. The
True, true.
industry, the corporate world is giving all the protection at the same, because we have norms on your
Hmm.
safety side, and at the same time, I think at the site there will be 100% security uh, for projects and all, because the corporate sector, you have the safety side defined for implementing every project. So I would like to welcome more women engineers into site also, because site experience is something like you learn from scratch. You
True.
learn from that's actually a pulse. I remember the days when I joined ANERT on rolls. It was in 1991, 15th of uh, July. I was immediately July 2019. I was actually posted in one Mantawadi. The same year itself, I was given a challenge of uh, constructing or kind of setting up an Urjagram in a remote tribal colony near Chegadi in Pulpalli area. Pulpalli, you know Pulpalli. Pulpalli is in Wayanad only. So um, Chegadi is a nearby village, and this is a Pakam uh, tribal village, a cluster kind of village. That time the inverters are not so developed. No, the inverters were not so sound, I should say, in 90s. So I was given we thought of, we were actually experimenting, kind of nobody is ordering sort of things. So we were like, no, we engineers were so enjoying and had the freedom to define and design our own projects. We thought of designing a 1 kilowatt peak solar project at that time as an off-grid project. So I remember the days we never wired up with because we never had an inverter there, conventional inverter. So what we did is we had systems like high frequency switching DC devices, luminaires, where you connect your battery supply, regulated battery supply to that high frequency switching device. Then there will be a CFL which will light up. So the CFLs were just coming up. So kind of single tube kind of CFLs, high frequency switching device. So we wired up the system, 1 kilowatt system, completely on DC. So we were we were then suddenly we understood that see how the voltage drops affects an electrical system. Learning from learning the lessons, or rechecking the lessons we what we learned in our BTech. So after four connections, fifth connection won't have the threshold voltage to switch up. Remember, there will be four connections where the cut-in voltage setup will have the sufficient voltage of above 11 volts. So if you go below 11 volts, the fifth house will be going below 11 volt after a certain time. Then the fifth house will be switching off first. Then the fourth house will be switching off. So I remember the experience. Later, we had gone with a off-grid system there. So wonderful experience, I should say, with experimenting with solar in 90s itself.
That's actually wonderful to know. And you very well said the practical knowledge that you gain is something very different. And it all rewrites what we have learned from the theory aspect. The textbook knowledge itself will not be sufficient. So you learn by doing it. And that's something which gets into your head very quickly, and it also stays within your head as well. That's what I also feel. And I'm quite happy that you are also aligned towards the same direction.
Yes, I do. I do actually. What I feel like whenever, even for consultancy projects, I wanted to quote about our 200 kilowatt project in the Thrissur Corporation. In fact, when we are wiring up we are connecting the inverters. It was Fronius inverter of made in Austria. So we had 8 numbers of 25 kilowatt inverters there. So in fact, the EPC contract is doing the job. I sort of finding a passion to do myself. I had an engineer, young engineer, Shan Salahuddin. Shan was with me, and I am with the Shan was firing up these inverters, connecting it and synchronizing with the grid. EPC is also doing parallelly. So we sort of thinking that we do it quickly so that no, we will complete the projects, so that my stay in Thrissur was shorter. I can go back to Trivandrum easily. So that gives us kind of a lot of learnings. A lot of learnings. In between on inverter, actually, we couldn't synchronize. There was some issues. Then we were sending it back to Hyderabad and getting the alternate inverter because it was faulty. Sort of all these things will give you where it fails, what will be the synchronization issue. So these are, and even when you connect to the grid, what will be the challenge? Are you feeding directly to are you to a grid, or you are connecting to an AC panel? Are you giving to a ring main, or are you connecting to a AC panel, a AC sub panel, which is coming connected to the secondary of a transformer? So all these sort of things we were experimenting. No, directly we are confronting with issues and problems. So I do guide a lot of MTech students here, graduate students also, like as an external guide. Maybe because by doing that, I started my passion for doing research. I remember the days when I was wiring up for, I think, 6-7 years back. We did a 100 kilowatt project in Kerala University. That was the first biggest project of ANERT. So
Okay.
I was fortunate to do the biggest projects of ANERT for the first time. So the first 100
Nice.
kilowatt project, the first 200 kilowatt project, the first 2 megawatt project, all these projects. And so kind of it was a group work and teamwork, definitely, but I am very fortunate to involve this. So we will be confronting with the different issues whenever we do this grid connection. So sort of uh, involving in all these kind of challenges will give you a lot of learning. I use this kind of experience when I am teaching. I
Okay.
also enjoy teaching. Actually, I'm taking classes, faculty development programs, and last month also I had a faculty development program. I'm doing FDP for faculty development program for ACT sponsors programs. Last I think last month I had a program for a Tamil Nadu engineering, one of the Tamil Nadu engineering colleges in Coimbatore. So
Okay.
when we give lectures, that was about IoT. So because we have an SRRI station here, I have charge in charge of that program. SRI station, Preeti, I think you might have heard it. It's part of a weather station. It's a solar radiation resource assessment station. So,
Okay.
it is having you have an ultrasonic anemometer, and you have excellent uh, solar tracker with a pyrolometer,
Hmm.
shaded pyrolometer, pyranometer, all the
Okay.
wonderful instruments on board. So I sort of use this kind of solar weather station to install in my solar power plant at 2 megawatts.
Hmm.
So my interest was to blend the same kind of a 20 lakh rupee weather station into a power plant so that I can study a lot, learn a lot how it performs. So this will give you this will enhance your research passion,
Hmm.
and combined with your practical experience, give you a lot of wisdom to tell more things to your students, to your
Hmm.
faculty. So I find that actually I'm telling about my experience only. I'm not teaching academic lessons.
Hmm.
Uh, Maybe I'm telling my experience only. In all the FDPs, uh, I'm tuned to say about what I learned and what I did. And there is some kind of I'm not in between. I will be writing. Maybe I'll be giving some like examples of SLDs, single line
Hmm.
diagrams, schematics, and of course IV curves and wind power curves. So these kind of things I have to learn in between, because if when you do seriously some academic session, you have to do you have to blend with the engineering lessons as well. Yeah.
Hmm. True. No, I can also very well relate to this. There was a teacher in my BTech in the college. She was working for about 7 or 8 years in the industry, and then came for the teaching. And she was teaching this electrical system design. And while teaching, she was actually giving the practical scenarios and aspects, and it was quite comfortable for us to understand and easy to learn also. So when you say this industrial experience actually has an impact in teaching, I totally support that. And
Exactly. it's
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 true, it's really true.
it's really true. It's really true. It comes from your heart. No, it's like you're just telling about what exactly you have done.
Mm,
And if they ask something also, if you they the faculty or students, young graduates, ask questions about, maybe we might have confronted that issue in our
mm,
field.
true.
We might have confronted, because whenever we build a project, we have to confront a lot of technical issues. So these issues will be stored in your mind as
Mm,
different problems.
yes.
So you just dig up these issues, bring it out, give it to the academic community.
Mm,
So some issues you cannot solve it. You might have left it there where it is unsolved. You bring that issues, give us a project to the MTech students, give us a project to the BTech students. Give us I think a lot we can do
that's a
as peers.
wonderful idea, sir. I
Yes.
haven't thought about it, but this is actually a very good thing.
Yeah. Actually, Preeti, I need your help on this kind of things, because you are an experienced engineer on wind side. So in both wind and solar side, and what we can do is we in the chapter, as part of the IEEE PS chapter, we are actually uh, bringing industry with academia.
Mm,
So we had a session, I think, a couple of years back. We are uh, bringing it back. We will have
okay.
a, because now we can sit together after the pandemic. We will soon holding sessions on that, actually, to bring these problems before the academic community, because
Mm,
industry have a lot of problems they are facing at the site. So
mm.
something like completely unresolved, and what we call cremated. You dig it
Yeah,
up.
that can be given as either projects or internship opportunities for the students.
Yes. Internship is another fine opportunity,
Mm,
because in recently I had four students from BTech students from one, I think they're from RIT, three
mm.
from one from Kusat, and three from Barton Hill Engineering College, Trivandrum.
Okay.
So actually, I have given some assignment to do the performance assessment of solar power plants, the same solar power, same capacity power plant, how it
Mm.
functions in different geographical regions in India.
Mm.
So if you install in Agra, if you install in Jammu, and if you are install in Trivandrum, and if you install in Kolkata. So I asked them to simulate it, and so meantime they started learning what you call PV bots. PV bots, it's an
Mm.
NREL, National
Mm.
Renewable Energy Laboratory software. So because it's very easy, I asked them, advised them to use PV bots, and
Okay.
I instructed. I given some modules on the NREL SAM also, but these
Mm.
people did this project on PV bots,
Mm.
and they have wonderfully presented it. See, in after end of the session, we will give the opportunity to the student group to present their work.
Mm.
So it's a lot of learning experience, what they learned from their internship.
Mm.
So and during the presentation, we also learning a lot of insights, uh,
Mm.
because younger minds can bring a lot of insights where we never think.
Correct.
Yeah,
That's what we have been hearing from all the senior people. But you have the potential. You are bringing in new ideas, and that's what we want to utilize it. It's quite
exactly,
true.
exactly. So uncovering issues, and even grouping it together,
Hmm.
um, and putting in the corresponding baskets,
Hmm.
and the students, younger students, based on category. Some are younger, or some are kind of less challenges or medium challenges where BTech students can take up, and
Hmm.
higher challenges MTech students can take up, and a lot of research problems, like real PhD research problems are there. See, I'm getting calls from a lot of people here. Every day I'm getting calls from PhD research scholars all
Hmm.
around Kerala and from abroad. From my LinkedIn also, a lot of help is actually people are seeking, students are seeking, research scholars are seeking a lot of help. So they wanted to learn the actual side actually. See,
Hmm. The
they are
practical
completely
aspect
with
of
the
it.
they are complete with the academic side. So when you do the research, actually, it's a different thing. You have to
Hmm.
learn it. You have to, if you go for research on wind energy side, you have to first you have to feel that how what exactly a wind turbine. At least you have to touch that tower.
Yes, it's true.
Otherwise, no, your research won't bring any any results.
Hmm.
To see that that fan, what do you call that mushroom, kind of spinning,
Hmm.
you should experience. Then only you can do the research. So very much important.
Hmm. So you mentioned about the PV watts and also the PV Assist, which is a commonly used software for the solar design. And you also have experience working with other softwares like Homer or Red Screen. And I can see that all these softwares are licensed versions, though a free trial of 30-day might be available. And the problem with all these softwares is that if you don't use it, you forget it. That's what happens. Even if you have studied it at a point of time, if you don't practice on those softwares, it's quite natural that you forget the options, you forget the steps. So, are there any good or trustworthy open source tools that can be used to learn the design aspect of solar or even hybrid?
Very good question. Very good question, Preeti. Appreciate for that. Actually, the same question was the same question came to my mind 15 years back.
Okay, that's a long way back. I
Yeah,
think.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So I was experimenting. I think more than 12 years, 10 years back, I was experimenting with not 10 years, maybe around 15 years back, I was experimenting with the red screen. Red screen when Canada, it's actually owned by Canada government, and Gregory is actually the owner, the developer. He's actually one of my very close friends. Uh, a lot of softwares are free online available, and of course, as you said, a lot of industry softwares are licensed softwares. PVC is of course a licensed software. You have a
Hmm.
trial version as well, but only 30 days, and that's actually a limitation. uh, and there are softwares available where the academic community and professional community can use, which are free versions.
Okay.
SAM, NREL SAM is a very free, 100% free version. So
Hmm.
I do recommend NREL SAM for both academicians and professionals, because NREL SAM has a lot of capability.
Hmm.
You capability means you can play around it with different kind of design alternatives. When you
Hmm.
go for designing a project, when you after the site inspection, Sam has a incredible capability to do a different kind of solutions, or you can get the yield in different kind of permutations and combinations. When you
Hmm.
go for different tilts, when you go for different kind of cascade arrangements,
Hmm.
are you going to go for uh, two cascade or four cascade kind
Hmm.
of arrangement? Are you going for portrait mode of module arrangement? Are you going for landscape mode of module arrangement? Are you going for different uh, tilts? So all these kind of experiments you can do in SAM,
Okay.
play around it, and get the results. And they have come up with a lot of updated capabilities as well. SAM has a capability of getting your LCOE.
Hmm. Okay.
So LCOE is the latest the metrics of finding your kind of
Hmm.
bankability of your project. Levelized cost of energy,
Hmm.
short name as LCOE, is very important, because now the technocrats and engineers and project people, consultants are looking at LCOE. So whether your wind farm or your solar farm is, I remember the days, no, when I did this project at Kudalmandam, the LCOE was five rupees.
Hmm.
Now the solar LCOE has come down to 3 or less than 3. So
Hmm.
it becomes, whenever it becomes lesser, it becomes more attractive. So that's why we
Hmm.
could say that it's closer to tariff. So
Hmm.
coming back to softwares, SAM is a very good software, and you have Helioscope. Helioscope is a free
Ah, okay.
software. Helioscope, you can do the kind of, it's an excellent pre-feasibility software, feasibility software,
Hmm.
because it has got the Google Earth provision to
Hmm.
see your rooftop, align your solar modules.
Hmm.
Even simultaneously, you can design two sets of solar plants in
Hmm.
the same terrace at different areas. So a lot of possibilities are there in Helioscope. Helioscope is also free.
Hmm.
So Red Screen actually was free up to 5 years. 5 years back, uh,
Okay.
I did this Thrissur Corporation uh, 5 years back, when I did actually Kerala State Regulatory Commission asked about the financial feasibility about the project to
Hmm.
the licensee, because Thrissur Corporation was the licensee. So
Hmm.
then, as a consultant, they put this question to me, sir. We need this kind of a financial analysis. Then I'm not a financial guy, even though I did my marketing, I did my MBA. So I'm not good at the financial
Financial background.
yeah, background. I'm not so good. I
Hmm.
need softwares. So Red Screen actually was very supportive. If you get IRR, uh,
Hmm.
you will get simple payback, debt payback. You will get a cash
Hmm.
flow. You will get your risk analysis. You will get
Okay.
your internal rate of return,
Hmm.
your net present value (NPV).
Hmm.
So all this kind of financial metrics you will get from Red Screen. Red Screen is not free. I used Red Screen for the Thrissur Corporation analysis, my 2 megawatt analysis. My 2 megawatt DPR, I completely depended on Red Screen. So kind of experimenting it. That time it was not licensed. Now
Hmm.
uh, I always request Gregory to
No,
make
I
it.
think when the demand increases, the cost increases. I think they
Yeah,
move to that particular approach. When people
exactly.
started
So
using it more. they're now making it a licensed one.
Yeah. PV Bot, it's a licensed software. It's a very web based version of this one. And
Mm.
Homer, Homer is a
Mm.
excellent tool for hybrid solar power plants. Like whenever you hybridize with the wind energy,
Mm.
diesel, micro hydro, Homer, you can very well simulate. I have two published papers on used. I have two published papers on Homer.
Okay.
I did this for the Ponmudi uh, micro hydro project proposed. Actually, currently I'm implementing it. Very happy to say that we have given work order to the Ponmudi solar wind hybrid project, and
Okay.
currently we are implementing it. Actually, the
Mm.
materials are coming to the site. It's Ponmudi is a hill station. You are
Mm.
welcome to Ponmudi, very near to Trivandrum. So Punbudi is often faced by the power issues. So
Mm.
we thought of doing a solar wind hybrid station there, a solar wind
Mm.
hybrid microgrid. And in future we are going for a kind of bigger microgrid,
Mm.
adding grid scale battery into that. Um, I'm planning actually a couple of 250 kilowatt machines there,
Mm.
because Ponmudi is one of the areas where we have wind energy.
Mm.
Fairly good energy. I think it's around more than 300 watt per meter. Sorry, wind power densities. Yeah, it's about that.
Okay.
WPD is around 300, around 300 in Ponmudi. So Punmudi is a very good site. We plan for around 500 kilowatt solar and couple of small 250 machines. 250 kilowatt machines we are opting because you cannot transport. We have
Mm.
22 hairpins. You cannot. You have to drop it through helicopter. There is no other option. So
Yeah,
even
I
250.
can imagine. Like transportation is again a very big challenge in the wind sector.
Yeah. It's a big issue. Actually, we need help from you engineers, like younger minds and all. Uh, the challenges in Kerala, the logistic challenges.
Mm.
It's actually the big challenge. Our potential is higher potential is on the western cut side. So tremendous potential there actually from Sidathod, from
Mm.
Agasthyargudam Valley to Sidathod in Pathanamthitta district towards the northern side of Pulmed, Sabarimala, see
Mm.
through that Apache Med and Ramakal Med. So wonderful area, having very high wind speed, but to transport these blades will be a very high challenging
Mm.
concern.
Yeah. That's actually true, and most probably since we are focusing on renewable energy sector, especially for India, I think more or less in future we would be having Kerala as well into that list. Apart from the common names that we see always like Tamil Nadu, Madhya Pradesh, Karnataka, Gujarat, hopefully Kerala will also come into that list once.
Looking forward, because it's like there are a lot of issues here, like issues like the logistics issues when we
Hmm.
transport wind turbine blades to this potential locations, because it's a complex terrain. Ramakalmed or Nedungandam area is a complex terrain,
Hmm.
and of course, Palakkad region we have a plain terrain.
Hmm.
We almost utilize those area, but still a lot of areas to be utilized. And coming to the solar sector, we cannot go for bigger land-based
Hmm.
solar farms. So we look forward to go for uh, floating solar plants actually. Uh,
Hmm. With the
Floating,
potential that we have,
yeah.
it would be
Potentially, we
quite
have
possible.
40% water bodies around, and the projects actually now kind of it's making financially viable now. It's like
Hmm.
1.3 to even 1.3 times the cost of land-based projects. So
Hmm.
becoming more friendly, and it's more manageable. You can find a power station very near to a fire power station. You can go for a bigger floating solar plant. So you have around 27, more than 27 lakes actually, 51 dams. Actually, KCB itself owns around 59 dams, and they have a plan also currently to do floating solar projects along with their hydro electric power stations.
Okay.
It's a very good example of doing projects like hybridizing. It's the same
Hmm.
facility we can utilize. If you make a little bit upgrade it, you can utilize the same facility for your evacuation.
True, true. And we have been witnessing a lot of these changes in the power and energy sector. You yourself have been explaining a lot, like how it was many years back, and right now we see that the application of digital technologies is also on the rise, and along with the advanced design and manufacturing of components and smart grid. That's again a buzzword that we have been hearing for a long time. So, with all these developments, how do you think can the young professionals prepare themselves to adapt to the changing industrial demands in terms of skills, knowledge, and also experience?
Wonderful question, Preeti. I was expecting this question. Um,
Okay.
because now you cannot go without this technology upgradation. See, AI, artificial intelligence, and machine learning is the state of the art technology is coming up in every sector. See, solar energy, large solar farms we can manage only with uh, this kind of AI based tools. When we go for we can blend it with the drone pictures and AI and and machine learning, we can immediately get an idea of how a particular sector of solar farm behaves compared to the other sector. So there will be different blocks in a huge solar farm. You might have heard of the Tumkur Pavgada solar farm in Karnataka, and the Karnool solar farm, and Filda solar plant in Rajasthan. So all these huge solar farms, all of them need kind of very high intelligence. And all the state load dispatch centers and central load dispatch centers are demanding the exact forecast of your power. So forecasting is a very important thing. So there you need intelligence. So forecasting combined with the virtual power plants. So virtual power plants actually helped Germany to achieve 100% of renewable energy recently. So it's not because of smart grid. It's because of the virtual power plants. They manage so comfortably with the local resources and forecasting. So virtual power plants and forecasting are doing magic in Germany. So these kind of blends uh, we can do also because we have a very good trained manpower like you and the younger minds here in Kerala and in the country. Uh, so India can move forward intelligently. Like that's why we already move forward. We are the country with the first ministry named after renewable energy. I told you about MNES, and
Yes.
so it is the first ministry in the world specifically looking after renewable energy. So there are other countries followed also. So we need a lot of hard work. Hard work actually we need a lot. We have a lot of manpower, trained manpower here. Only thing is we have to tune them. We have to cream them. We have to add cream to their graduation. Uh, it can be a BTech, it can be MTech, it can be a PhD graduation. So add cream by empowering. I think PES or IEEE can do this kind of job. This is the job we are doing. We have to cream up by adding the right solutions, right advices, and it should be kind of intelligent advice. Uh, we cannot go fast, so fast. So fast means we will end up in trouble. We have to move intelligently. So I heard Mr. Andre. Andre is solar impulse. Solar impulse was the invention of Andre. He's a balloonist from Switzerland. Solar impulse was the plane which moved around the globe. You might have heard
Mm.
about it. So solar impulse plane traveled around the globe. Actually, before taking up the challenge of the solar impulse, Mr. Andre was he's actually from Switzerland, scientist, an engineer, entrepreneur. He was a balloonist. When he was interviewed, he was telling about. Um he was actually advised by the wind advisor when he was ballooning. His wind advisor advised him, don't go much higher.
Mm.
Because then he was little bit skeptically heard that when he was traveling in balloon, then he suddenly noticed that when he increased the height of balloon, he could travel fast so that he can keep his balloon fuel.
Mm.
So he's traveling fast when he increased the height. We know that wind velocity
Mm.
is higher and higher altitudes.
True, true.
So suddenly his advisor, the wind advisor, noticed it. He immediately asked him, hey, lower the height, lower the height. If you go like this, you will end up in North Pole. So your experiment will suddenly stop within a couple of hours. You will end up in North Pole. So so what happened is Andre understood that you cannot go too high. So you have
Mm.
to have a proper altitude.
Mm.
So it's very important in projects also. It's very important in engineering also. Uh, of course, there should be pace. Pace should be there, but pace should be with the science, with the physics,
Mm.
with a lot of studies. See, my experience with the German company is like they do a lot of strategic studies.
Mm.
Uh, Strategic studies, like whenever they go for investing. See, I remember the days I was given an assignment of doing a, a sectoral study for small wind hybrid systems in India. So I
Mm.
visited all the. It was actually assigned by Amiram Roth Dublin. When that time I was reporting to Singapore, my manager was sitting there. He was strategic. He was on strategic side. He was advising me to do a sectoral study.
Mm.
So the study was actually on the why these small wind turbines are not increasing in volume in India. Why this business is not happening? Of course, it is related to you. You know that because it's kind of stagnant. A lot of issues it is facing. So
Mm.
that question was asked to me, and I was traveling to all the renewable energy nodal agencies, MNRE, NIVE.
Mm.
So I met Phobati at that time. Phobati, now the director in charge of resource assessment. So that was in 2005, I remember. So from NIVE. So these kind of questions you have to ask, like how we have to go ahead. We
Mm.
should go with the pace, but with the right knowledge gain, right data. Data is very important. So that's
Mm.
why data analysis, data scientists are growing like anything. Even in the renewable energy sector, we need a lot of data. Data will do wonders,
Yes.
even for forecasting and for your virtual power plants.
That's right. I mean, even before constructing the wind farm or the solar farm itself, you need a lot of data to understand how the site actually performs. Because it's quite hard to predict what will happen in the next 10 years or 20 years unless you have a solid data that can give you the proper indication that, okay, this is going to be the production of the farm, either the solar or the wind, that the farm will produce in the first year or the second year or even till the end of the design lifetime. It's
Exactly,
quite.
exactly, exactly. It's actually as an engineer working in the same field. I know you are so experienced. Actually, I should learn a lot from you also. So
Super.
it's actually it's true. It's true. Data is your goal.
Mm.
You have to learn a lot on that, like how it. See, and there is another challenge coming up is See, all this satellite data is making issues now because all this satellite data you might have taken from the past uh, experience. Climate change is completely, completely what you call it, making a
Unpredictable.
yeah. Your uncertainty side, no. When we are uncertainty, when you do the WRA, I remember the human element is more on when we add uncertainty. In fact, I had a lot of discussion with my counterparts in Australia. In PB, where we had our corporate office in Australia, we
Mm.
had technical guys sitting in Australia um, office when we finally deliver a WRA report to a client. So I remember the day. I remember the days. No, we were doing a lot of projects like the chemistry of doing this kind of projects. So a lot of chemistry. So these kind of human elements can
Mm.
make errors.
Mm.
So when you add certain uncertainty into this kind of projects, so uh, and now the uncertainty of climate change is coming.
Mm.
So I request all the young researchers here to do take a PhD on the effect of climate change on the satellite data prediction. It's actually a very good title, I would suggest.
I
Uh,
think those who are seeking for this research topics would find this really interesting. And normally, that is where certain people are finding it hard. Like, or they want to do research in this particular area, but then they don't exactly get the fine topic to work on. So, from you, I think like you have straight away given the topic. Okay, now you can start working on it.
No, because I'm confronting it. I'm confronting it because
Yeah.
yeah, it's actually a result of my PhD work also. Actually,
Hmm.
I do find a lot of kind of uh, unnatural behaviors.
Hmm.
See, for the last 5 years, no, when you look at Kerala, uh, uh, when you look at a Kerala site,
Hmm.
a wind energy site or a solar power plant site, if you simulate it with any source, it can be NASA, it can be Meteonom,
Hmm.
it can be any other resource, PVGIS
Hmm.
or Helioclim, whatever be the resource you are taking up. Um, there will be challenges you can immediately see in 2018, 2019, 2020 because of the immediate, the true things we are confronting with the climate change, right? So it's actually gradually happening for over the last decade.
Hmm.
So it's a very interesting. I thought of writing a paper on that actually. I request all the young researchers here to take that title for your PhD work. Uh, like
I hope there won't be a clash among the students because when people start taking this, I like, okay, everybody has got the same title.
and yeah, you see these kind of things, and these are right. Um, uh, these are the immediate challenges we face, like unnatural behavior on the on when we simulate using a software. It's really because all these softwares depend upon satellite data for the last 20 years.
Hmm.
So
True.
it can be when you take the data. So when you average it for the last 20 years, it can be something some value you'll get. When you
Hmm.
take the data for the last 10 years, or if you take the less data for the last 5 years, it becomes so old,
Hmm.
so different. So
True.
which data you will take up? So are
And
you
the
taking?
entire calculation goes wrong.
Exactly, exactly. This is a real challenge. Actually, the academic community should take up the challenge, and even the developers of the software also
Hmm.
accommodate these challenges into their software. They have to what you call what maybe it can be in Python, it can be in other OS or software.
Hmm.
Um, um, so in the scripts, they have to rewrite it. So
Hmm.
like they have to do a lot of work on that. Utilize the young engineers to make it more in tune with the climate change. Climate
Hmm.
change.
right now it's all based on the historical data. So in Windows we use this a regression and neural network to predict the long-term wind speed, because what we
Yeah.
have in hand is only a year of data or few years of data,
Yeah.
which will not exactly tell what the site climatic condition is. So,
Okay.
and this variability aspect also will not be taken into accommodation when you predict the long-term wind speed. So
Exactly.
it's
Exactly.
a
Yeah.
very good topic, but then a bit hard and needs more research or study into it, I should say.
Exactly, exactly. It's actually I think people can look into it, and they can
Mm,
even they can help the developers of Homer,
mm,
PVSys, Red Screen. All these people are utilizing the source. The source data is from PVGIS or HelioClim or NRL. So all this
mm,
data has to be fine tuned with the climate challenges. So
mm.
then only it's realistic.
Yeah. I, it's kind of a dream that when it sounds, but then really exciting and interesting to say.
Yeah, it's really interesting, Preeti, because you also have the background, same background, no?
Yes,
So it's very interesting.
I
Uh,
can very well understand that.
so I was so excited to be part of this because why? Because see, when you deliver your lecture single-handedly online, it's quite
Mm.
boring.
Yeah,
So uh,
true.
it's quite boring because you cannot see the audience. Whenever I
Mm.
take this kind of sessions, I try to speak with people in between to hear a sound in between. But
Mm.
so
You have
when
to
we
keep
talk,
mocking them. Are you
uh,
still there? Are you listening?
exactly, exactly. So these kind of challenges actually we will get when we confront with the sites and all. So the
Mm.
similar side is actually from the site investigation from the solar side. See,
Mm.
when you look at a particular um, area, it can be a grama panchayat,
Mm.
it can be a district panchayat, or it can be a district, or it can be a municipal ward. So
Mm.
take up when you take up the challenge of predicting the potential of that municipal ward or
Mm.
that grama panchayat, the result will be very much uh, interesting um for policymakers. So
Mm.
I've been trained recently by I very fortunate to be with the PV Pearl training. Actually, it is organized by the PV Pearl Research Group of Europe, organized
Mm.
by University of Tende, Netherlands. Very recently, it was from March 8 to 11.
I saw in
So
LinkedIn.
yeah, yes, yes, exactly. So wonderful sessions. So I could feel it. See how updated
Mm.
the technology is. So there, I was searching for. I was dreaming about a kind of work where I could completely get a picture of a municipal ward in a smaller sense, in a macro approach, get an idea of a district, maybe
Mm.
Trivandrum. So, or a Trivandrum city. So, I was dreaming of doing it. I've seen papers, presentations on that during the session. So, see, you will be dreaming something, but people are doing it. So,
Mm.
I request young scientists and engineers here. So why can't you look at doing blending this? Like you do take up all the possibilities you have the softwares and
Mm.
solar resources. At the same time, utilize the GIS GIS ARC or kind of
Mm.
software capabilities. And in addition to that, the most important thing is the visible, the what you call the Google Earth and other
Mm.
facilities, how it actually looks.
Mm.
So add
Mm.
layers of your satellite data, layer of your GIS, layer of your visual look, which you get
Mm.
from Google Earth, kind of the visibility softwares or or from drone pictures. Even you can add drone pictures. So drone pictures will be amazing because it will have more precision. So you add drone pictures will be very easily, it can be easily done. You cannot dream that 15 years back. So you have drones everywhere. With the only thing is you have to take the permission. So you blend with your drone pictures and your artificial intelligence um, kind of uh, algorithms into that. Get a resource assessment. Next uh, challenge I am giving to the younger minds. Get a picture of at least your panchayat ward. So it's amazing. I think it's amazing for our panchayat president sitting in Kerala, or the panchayat pradhan, whatever you say about your local self government, uh, what you call uh, the representative. So they can take a decision with this. You as young engineers, you can take up these challenges and blend it to an idea so that they can immediately take a decision. Are they? Whether we should go with a solar farm here, whether we should go for a small wind solar hybrid system here, whether we should go for a wind farm here. So wind farm, of course, we have standard kind of uh, WRA procedures, which is not easy. But the other things, what I explained, can be done very easily.
I think we are getting all sorts of inputs on the work and also the research part from this talk from you, sir. It's wonderful. And even more happier or the contented feeling is like when your desktop study comes into a reality. When the project is signed or when the actual project happens and it starts operating, when you see that, you feel more happy.
It's just like we are doing a problem, mathematical, what you call an arithmetic problem. When you
When
substitute,
you get the solution, you are very happy.
you are very happy. Yeah, it's just like when we are doing the third semester, second semester mathematics problem. So it's just like when you get the solution of your mathematical arithmetical problem, you'll be very happy. It's just like that. You define the project, you define the challenges, you define the scopes. As a project management guy, I know the scope is very important. How you define the scope.
Yes.
The scope should be something that should that can be really implemented. Otherwise, you cannot define. You don't define that scope. You take the scope away. You define your scope the role of PM. No, the role of PM is something like defining is of the scope is very important. Of course, there will be timelines. So defining is very important. So if you define the scope and work with the available time limits and budget limits, if you could accomplish it, it is just like getting a solution of a mathematical problem. It's
Yes.
very wonderful thing. Wonderful thing. I do remember the olden days when I uh, like no when we were working in Wayanad district. Initially, no, I was in Wayanad actually. That time the EPC companies were not there installing street lights, solar street lights. So we used to trek to these individual tribal areas. We will find an open area, and we will transport ourselves. ANERT had a couple of lorries that time. So we used to transport pole the solar panels from CEL, Central Electronic Limited, that time. So CL was only supplying BHEL and CL was supplying solar modules,
Okay.
and pole we were locally getting it, and we were wiring ourselves. We never had a EPC players during 90s, so we were wiring our. We will be digging the excavating area where there is no shade, and putting up that street lights. So each about 3-4 street lights will be for a particular colony of 20, 30 people. So I was telling that when we light up that by 6, 7, you could see the automatically it will be switching on because of the uh, sensors there.
Mm.
How the sensors, like, automatically when it will be walking up from dusk to dawn. So
Mm.
when dusk arrives, or it automatically switch on. So you can see
Mm.
the lights up, and you can see the lights on the younger, on the faces of the youngsters
Yeah,
there.
no, this reminded me of my project back in BTech and MTech. When you see that the project is working, wow, that's a eureka for us.
Yeah, it's
It's
amazing.
just the same
So
feeling. Yeah.
yeah. Actually, it's our dream come true. It's
Mm.
our project accomplished. A lot of feelings together.
True, true. We have been hearing a lot about your professional life, how you have been from the start till now. Now, if I may ask something out of this professional life, like your volunteering activities, especially IEEE and Power and Energy Society, how was your journey, and what are the key initiatives that you're involved in right now? And since this episode is specially dedicated for the PES Day celebrations of this year, a little bit touch upon PES Day as well, and what are the activities that are being planned?
Yeah, I was expecting this question, Preeti. It's actually,
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah, since we both are from IEEE.
yeah, we should, because as the chair of IEEE PS Kerala chapter, I'm very much honored. A couple of years I've been heading as the uh, vice chair of this chapter. Kerala IEEE PES chapter is the largest chapter in the world. Uh, Wonderful chapter, and our past chair was Suhair Sir, respected Suhair Sir. Sir has wonderful experience from Middle East. He was heading IEEE there, and uh, actually, we have a lot of mentors here, including Suhair Sir and Professor V.K. Damodaran, VKD Sir. So we are actually guided by, mentored by the talented minds. We have a lot of P.S. Chandramohan Sir, uh, uh, lot of and vibrant professors like Kasim Sir. Uh, so all these peoples are actually are the driving force behind the IEEE chapter. So the recent years, Sohair Sir has been leading us, and a couple of times we won the Outstanding Chapter Award. And uh, we do look forward for this year also, because of the last year,
Okay.
based on our wonderful performance by, actually, it is spearheaded by the younger minds like the PES Kerala, PES Young Professionals.
Okay.
We have a wonderful team here. Anantu S. Kumar.
Mm.
Anantu was heading the YP session. A wonderful leader, young charismatic leader. He was been heading the YP chapter, and Sharan was heading the student activity chapter. He is also excellent leadership skills. So all these student leaders, all these young leaders are so mature to lead programs. That may be the reason behind IEEE PS Kerala chapters. And I've been supported by two vice chairs now. Uh, and I have Dr. Bobby Phillips, sir. He's a vice chair, and Dr. Shobha Manekal, madam. Both are from the engineering college background, helping me a lot, guiding me a lot. And we have a professional from industry as the secretary, Harikumar sir. So a lot of people are around me to lead the chapter, and for me, I would say that the chapter is actually, the strength of the chapter is the student wing, the student branches, SPCs. SPCs, as separate OUs, they have the freedom to organize their own activities. We have given them the freedoms, and they are coming up with the brilliant activities. Brilliant. Even we utilized all this the pandemic situation to, to organize webinars of in different fields, engineering fields. Wonderful projects they have done. Uh, and one project, I should say that, like with the help of the HAC chapter, the sanitation project done in Kaladi. Sorry, not sanitation. The what you call drinking water project done in Kaladi. It's an actual site project implementation with a funding. So it's an actual installation, a solar installation, which pumps water from a local well or pond and pumping to the local inhabitants where there was an issue with the water, drinking water issue. So that
Okay.
is for real life problems also solved by IEEE PS chapter. So we are very proud of that project actually.
And I
And
can see a lot of this rural electrification projects as well coming under IEEE PES Kerala chapter.
yes, yes, a lot of PS chapters are planning that kind of rural electrification projects, and lot projects are in the pipeline also. Uh, so Albin and team is getting a lot of funds on that area, and they have
Okay.
actually Albin has been discussing me on this kind of rural electrification projects, different projects. See, I am fortunate to guide them because I do have expertise on this particular sector, especially rural electrification or renewable
Yeah.
energy.
I
Yeah,
mean,
that's
if we actually take it, the majority of the professional background, I mean, your professional background has been focused on this
yeah,
rural
yeah, yeah,
electrification.
yeah, yeah.
And
That's actually
quite a
one.
lot of experience.
Yeah, exactly. That is an advantage actually. And regarding the PS Day celebrations, I am actually uh, I'm very fortunate to be with the PS Day celebrations right from the initial days. I have been listening to different programs, and the previous year, I think on year back, 2 years back, I had a wonderful opportunity to deliver the global talk on PS Day as part of the PS Day celebration on solar resource assessment. So
Okay.
my yeah, it's there in the our it's there in the virtual what you call it's available virtually as in the resource store. The global talk will be always there, no, but for IEEE members it is free, still available. So I request all PS volunteers and IEEE volunteers to look into the resource area, PES resource area. You can see my that is a dedicated solar resource assessment for solar. It's actually it's completely about solar resource assessment and
Okay.
how it benefits for the performance of solar power plants. So that is a special talk on that.
Yeah,
And
I think people who are looking forward to working in this solar sector, this would be a really good start for them.
yeah, 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 exactly. They can look at that resource. That's actually I have a lot of slides on my solar resource station there because I already told you about the solar resource station. So a
Yeah.
lot of slides depending upon that, based on my unique experience, where you cannot find that kind of particular experience anywhere in the other plants, because a plant with a blended a weather station is rare. Thank you, Staji. Staji, Staji Wilson is responsible for that. Staji is the leader. Staji actually was behind my talk that time. This time also, actually, Study approached me, and actually, I have a talk on
Okay.
16th April. I'm taking a different subject. I'm speaking on design and development of microgrids.
Okay.
Yeah. So thought of
Something a different topic from what you have
yeah,
been doing over the
exactly.
years.
Though I have an experience on microgrids, solar microgrids, but I'll be adding more engineering into it. So mostly depending on my paper, I have a couple of papers on that. So
Okay.
I look forward to that actually. Add some simulations, how a kind of renewable energy or RE microgrid can be designed and developed. So PS Day celebrations will be my personal contribution will be like that. Of course, very fortunate to be with you, Preeti, today, beginning the celebrations. And as a chapter, actually, PS chapter is planning two programs. Actually,
Mm,
we are starting this month, part of the PS celebrations. One is the real industrial talk.
mm,
We are organizing with the public utility KCB.
mm,
So KCB, we are in touch with the KCB. The first phase we already done through webinars. Now we are planning to have a real offline events with the KCB experts sharing their wonderful experiences, no,
mm.
real engineering experiences to our younger minds. We are planning this month, starting the phase of the KCB. It's the second phase actually. We are not planning with the webinars. Of course, there will be a hybrid event. Some
Mm,
maybe planned as webinars. Maybe somebody couldn't come and deliver the lecture, but most of the
mm.
lectures will be like offline in Kerala, in different parts of Kerala. And second, the part of the celebrations we are planning is, about the sustainability. Sustainability is because the world is looking forward to
Mm.
implementing the SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals, defined by
Yes.
UN. So SDG 7 is very important for clean energy sector and all. So all are important. So SDG 1 starts with the removal of poverty. So
Mm,
we have a global group, my academic research group, based out of Malaysia. There we have a lot of professors heading this research group. They are expanding it. We have collaborations in Russia and we have collaborations in Turkey. So we have professors there. I had this associations with this professors when I was writing my journal papers, part of my PhD program. So
mm.
this global sustainable ICGFS, that
Mm.
group will be we already made a decision with them and they agreed also. So we will be getting talks from different parts of the world, part of the sustainability. So that is the
Okay, that's
second.
wonderful.
Yeah. These two programs we are planning, Preeti. We need all of your support for that.
Definitely, sir. I mean, these are all like really good topics and need of the hour topics, I would say. If you ask me, if you ask my opinion, this is something which everybody should look forward to in this era. And since it is very important to focus on these sustainable development goals, and if we take as a power and energy engineer, as you said, the SDG 7, which is affordable and clean energy, is something that we have been focusing on for the past few months at least, and especially after this COP26, it's on the rise. And I would say, like, definitely good topics and events planned. And uh, as uh, as you said, everybody would be happy to support you on this, and I personally as well. Thank you so much, sir, for this sharing these two activities. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
And
Actually, it's very important because the world is moving from linear economy to circular
hmm,
economy. So it's very important that sustainable development, because that's why all the corporates are including sustainable development into their core sector. So for me, sustainable development starts from removing poverty. So it's very important. So
hmm,
we have a lot of inequality in the world. War is happening. So
hmm,
ending war, ending poverty, getting kind of providing sanitation facilities are very important for sustainable development along with the energy needs. Of course,
hmm,
removing energy poverty is important. So
hmm,
that's why energy poverty is very important when we talk about sustainability. I
hmm,
have been traveling to Tanzania, I think 3 4 years back. Actually, recommended by the state government. I was invited by the Swedish Academy again for a
hmm,
renewable solar wind workshop in Tanzania. We had an experience of traveling to the remote areas of Tanzania. I remember the days when I spent Tanzania. I couldn't see a conventional line going through those
hmm,
hundreds of kilometers. So Africa is still dark. We have more than about 1 million people are without access to electricity, using kerosene
Mm.
stoves and all. So it's very important to have. So when we talk about virtual power plants, when we talk about improving the efficiency of plants, forecasting, we should also talk about getting power to the unprivileged, vulnerable people.
Mm.
So it's very important. So removing energy poverty is equally important. That's why sustainable development goals are important.
True, that's true. And I think those activities which are part of, especially with this rural electrification and also community related programs, starting off with PES Kerala chapter, I hope that this continues to the other sections as well, so that they also take it on a serious note and work for the community. And as you said, remove this energy poverty, which is a key uh, to be
Yes,
focused on right now. Right?
absolutely.
Yes. Uh, I think I could even speak more and more, but considering the time, it's been already almost 2 hours, and I think this is the first episode that I'm spending quite a lot of time, and I'm quite happy that, I mean, the topic just comes and comes; it doesn't end. Thank you so much, sir. But before winding up, from your experience and having worked in this renewable sector for a long time, um, how do you think can the young professionals who wants to enter into this field or who wants to sustain in this field, what should they be looking forward to, especially in terms of any kind of skill sets that they should practice on? What do you think that they can do?
Yeah, it's the right question, Preeti. Based on my experience, uh, I would like to say that whenever we graduate, maybe we are more or less learning from textbooks,
Hmm.
uh, from the academic background only. So I do suggest that as far as possible, you go for internships to
Hmm.
industry. It's very important. Uh, it can be any area you wish to continue. It can be in the automation industry, into the EV industry,
Hmm.
into the area. If you are particularly into renewables, you can go with internship with the state nodal agencies like ANERT. ANERT has got arrangements for internship. It can be a week, a
Hmm.
couple of weeks, or even a month. Even you can do projects here. We have a limited resource actually, but it's still you are welcome to do that. So KCB is also welcoming engineers. So I suggest to do internship during your career itself. See, I just wanted to quote, or I just wanted to tell about one name here. Um, uh, she was with me as my apprentice trainee.
Hmm.
Um, she did she actually um, was a 1 year apprenticeship with me actually.
Hmm.
Did 1 year engineering. So it happened in such a way that we met during her engineering career. So during her second semester or third semester, she happened to be doing internship with us. So suddenly, after discussing among us, she started this passion. Aditi, her name is Aditi. Aditi now took her masters from Sweden, from KTH, Stockholm Institute of Technology.
Hmm.
I only recommended her to do her masters and written her recommendation letter. I am very fortunate that I even guided her externally for her thesis while she was doing in KTH. Um,
Nice.
so Aditi, I'm very proud of her because uh, see how she was growing her passion. I'm just telling that in her second semester, it's just like no second year of your engineering. She came
Hmm.
here for internship, started the passion.
Hmm.
Then again, once upon a time, coming to ANERT and visiting these kind of institutions. Then immediately after engineering, asking me, is there a chance to do internship here or kind of training here? I told about apprenticeship with all these kind of institutions, KCB, ANERT, and all. Now KCB is also doing solar energy projects. Keltron is doing projects.
Mm.
Um, so ANERT, of course, the nodal agency and the sole responsible project developer in the state,
Mm.
as a state nodal agency. So she did some. So when the invitation for the internship was apprenticeship was a little bit late, immediately went to some unpaid training in a private company, 3 months. Then
Mm.
again, this call was there. Then immediately joined 1 year apprenticeship did. Then she got around 5 offers from different Swedish universities. See, I'm just telling, um,
Mm.
because please work on your passion. Like find a subject, title, or area where you are more interested.
Mm.
It can be wind energy sector, it can be solar energy sector, it can be EV,
Mm.
e-mobility, it can be the core power sector, it can be the computer side, uh, it can be robotics, any area. It can be other the artificial intelligence and machine learning area. So and learn a lot into that area.
Mm.
You will reach. I'm pretty sure that you will get a lot of professionals on the way who can mentor you and help you. It's not accidental kind of thing. If you
Mm.
seek for knowledge, you will get people, because we have a lot of forums like IEEE PES, IEEE, and people like Preeti, people like me. So who are volunteering. So they have a lot of job actually, a lot of responsibilities in office. Still, they are volunteering to spread this knowledge.
Mm.
So I do recommend that open your eyes and ears, look for opportunities,
Mm.
and opportunities will come on your way. And of course, you cream it up with some courses.
Mm.
These courses are available now online. It was not an opportunity for us, my generation.
Mm.
We never had this kind of no. We never had the Google University. So
That's true.
yeah,
And right now, that's the common one.
yeah, exactly. And you are very relevant. What you call very much reputed universities are offering online courses. I
Mm.
remember Denmark Technical University offering wind energy course.
Mm. Yes.
DTU is
And,
offering.
and they have solar as well, I think.
Yeah, exactly. They
Basics in
have
solar and PV
exactly.
technologies.
Yeah, exactly. DTU is offering, and lot of European universities are offering online courses, very standard courses. A lot of US universities are offering.
Mm.
So IITs are offering. Indian universities are also offering pretty very good courses. But I could see a lot of international courses,
Mm.
which you can separately pick the courses, which can be AI, it can be ML, it
Mm.
can be on forecasting, it can be
Mm.
on blockchain, it can be on DER, distributed energy
Mm.
resources, or DEG, distributed energy generation.
Mm.
On different topics, you can you'll get the opportunity. So cream up your knowledge with these courses, which can be online or offline.
Mm.
Online courses will be more won't charge too much, and
Mm.
there are areas where in India you can seek the help of ANERT. ANERT is offering courses. You can
Mm.
get the help from NICE, National Institute of Solar Energy.
Mm.
MNRE is having a scientific institution named NICE, National Institute of Solar Energy, which is also offering courses, certifications. And National Institute of Wind Energy, based out of Chennai, is offering wind energy certifications, courses, trainings. So if you have time, and if you have a little bit of supporting sponsorship and all, you can add this also. So,
Mm.
so add knowledge to your career, add
Mm.
knowledge to your graduation. So graduation is a wonderful what you call the outline, or a kind of platform. You made the basement. You
Mm.
are a thrill with this, with the tremendous, because nowadays all these people are looking at these certifications. Are you have this particular uh, uh, kind of experience with this area,
Hmm.
then start working with maybe you can associate with some projects in
Hmm.
some institutions. If you have the even with the private institutions also, maybe you will get some associations for doing
Hmm.
internship. Utilize that. So that can, and of course, if you are very serious in doing PGs, post graduation, and higher studies, also I do recommend for that. But
Hmm.
still, that also possible. But still, so when you do this kind of work, um, the passion should come right away from the beginning. You find an area where
Very
you
well
can
said.
enrich and develop your expertise. So it's better. It's better than going with a different kind of corners. Like so, then that will be like no to take a decision. It will be a little bit bewildering.
Hmm. I have learned quite a lot after having this almost 2 hours discussion with you. It's been really wonderful to have you in this talk on this special occasion as well. Uh, I know there are quite a lot of things that you would like to share, but due to the time constraints, probably we'll have to wind up this episode right now. I would like to personally thank myself for accepting my invitation to be on this talk show dedicated for power and energy leaders and young professionals. Uh, the exact theme has been communicated very well through this episode, just to inspire and motivate young engineers and also to give them the various opportunities that are existing in this sector. You have covered a lot about all these, especially in renewable sector, and your experience has molded it all into a perfect fit, sort of a capsule that young professionals can actually swallow in and gain all the relevant knowledge. Thank you so much, sir, for being part of this. Um, I would like to take this opportunity to thank, on behalf of myself and also Power and Energy Society Young Professionals, Women in Power, for being on this show and sharing your wonderful experience with our audience. Thank you so much, sir. And thanks to all our viewers for being on this show till the end. I hope that you have gained a lot, as I did, with his experience and the knowledge. And I hope to take this forward in future as well. Thank you so much. And thank you so much, sir, once again. See you all in the next episode. Bye bye.
Thank you, Preeti. Thank you. I'm privileged to be here, and thank you very much for inviting me for this PS Day celebration, part of this PS Day celebrations. Thanks to my listeners, all younger minds, PS, YP Kerala, all the PS YP professionals all over the globe. So thank you, Preeti, for your kind of no. It was wonderful just because of your questions. Uh,
Thank you so much, sir.
it was so like no the questions are coming flowing very naturally. That made me discuss things and like no the scenarios very easily. It's because of you it became wonderful. So thank you very much. Thank you, um, uh, Preeti, for that.
Yeah. No problem, sir. I'm quite happy that you could be part of this and also share your experience. And to you and all our viewers, happy IEEE PES Day, though it's on April 22nd. I wish everybody an advance IEEE PES Day. Thank you so much. See you in the next
Thank you.
episode. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.